Okay, hello. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to AfterCut, a series about post-processing and processing post. My name is Eric Hackler. I'm a photographer, editor, filmmaker, writer. I do a lot of stuff. I do a lot of cool stuff. Anyway, welcome to the third stream in this series of going through my photos from my recent expedition to Colorado and choosing the ones that eventually are going to be edited. This is the most boring series that I think I've ever done. But if you're interested in photography, if you're interested in the creative process of telling stories photographically, I think it's important to this kind of process this kind of thing is what you will spend a good chunk of your time doing, and I think it's important to share that part of the creative process because it matters and it's not talked about. So that having been said, we're gonna go ahead and jump into our back where we left off at our photos from Colorado. This is back at Black Canyon. And as always, as I go through this, if you have opinions, if you have thoughts, if you have questions, please share them. I do this to educate and to share my work and also pull back the curtain on the behind the scenes of photo processing, editing, because it's not talked about and absolutely should be. But also, if as much as this is my platform, I would love to be able to share it. So please, if you create works, by all means, share a link in the chat or in the comments so everyone else can check out the cool stuff that you do. Alright, this is where we left off yesterday. And yeah, we are, let's see. Coming up on, we're 235 out of 374 photos from Black Canyon that we haven't sorted out yet. So, yeah, this is where we left off. I think if you were watching the end of yesterday's stream, you remember I was kind of crushing on this photo. I still am. This is one of those things about editing and creating, I guess, creating any kind of art, is that if you have the time to sort of come back to it and go, come back to it at different times of day, after when you're in different headspaces, it's a good way to help sort out which photos really, or which pieces, what things really connect with and which ones don't. Stepping away and coming back, when your brain's slightly different tends to make a difference. I still like this photo. I think I saw more potential in it yesterday than I do right now, which just means I need to keep it around until potentially until that comes around again and I see the potential, fully in it again. Right now I'm sitting here going like, it's kind of like, it is still cool. It is still very cool to have the shadow of the mountains, and just have this top cliff here. I think that's awesome. I don't know if the photo is better kind of like that, like this. You're putting this mountain up on a pedestal, which is good, but you're also, sort of getting distracted by the fact that, more than half of the photo is this dark thing that doesn't matter that much when the focus is there. But yeah, like there's stuff that can be done with this photo that I'm excited to try. So that one's gonna stick around. Next, ooh, look, we did it again. I think I like that one better. Let's go back in color. Looks worse in color. This I think this photo is one of those that's got to be black and white or nothing. That's kind of cool, honestly. Darkening the highlights down and giving you, like, really darken the shadows a little bit. Probably gonna end up doing, if I end up editing this photo, gonna end up masking the light and the dark so I can, put a lot of texture in the dark stuff and then brighten up the light stuff up there. But yeah, I think these are both worth keeping for now. At some point, I'm going to find the clear vision for what this photo can be, and when that happens, I want to be able to have access. I want to be able to have options. Speaking of options, we did it again. Did I do it again here? Yeah. Man, I was enamored with this concept. I do actually. I'm kind of liking these landscape ones a little better than the portrait ones. I like the height of these, and that does kind of give this kind of a crowning sort of look, which, again, idea worth pursuing. Something about this with a little bit of cropping, just to center us up. Something pretty... Let's see, the highlights down a bit. Get a little more sky going on in there. It's not there yet, but it'll get there. So we're gonna... Let's go back to this. So yeah, we're gonna keep that as well. This is exciting. I don't cut. I'm apparently just not cutting anything. Again, just shadows and shapes. This one could be interesting if we do something like that. This one could be interesting in several different ways. It's very basic. Man, I was just over the moon about shadows on stuff, and I do love shadows on stuff. I don't know if this one's... I'm gonna keep this because, again, I've talked about it in the past. Like, this is the big photo here is what I think was the trees, and this one over here is the forest. If you're, you want to look at the details of it and really kind of enjoy the contours. Look at the big photo if you want to kind of get a glance at or what it's gonna look like when people just sort of glance at it on their phones. Then yeah, like looking at the small one. And the small one, I'm struck by the ridge line. I'm struck by the contrast. I'm gonna keep this one. At this point, I could probably do a Colorado live stream just editing all the photos that are like dark ridge line with bright sky in the background, and that could be kind of cool if people are into that style. It's a thing that I really like because it almost feels, if I took the highlights and the whites up on this, this almost feels like a piece of, like a little bit of a graphic design kind of thing, which does seem fun. If I come up here and sort of do something like that, that feels, yeah, there's something there. So we're gonna hold on to that. Let's see. Again, really enamored of light and dark. I'm not getting much out of this though. Not seeing that photo taking me many places. This one a little more so. This feels like, again, jewel in the crown kind of thing. In color, not so much. These are working in black and white because these are mostly a light based thing. Yeah, there's some fun to be had with this one. Keep it around. I think I like the other ones better, but let's see. Okay, I just wouldn't stop. I'm sorry. I did not realize we were starting the stream with like this many photos of me looking up at cliffs covered in shadow. Jeez, what on earth was I on? What do I even like about this one? I'm very confused. This is fun. It's fun going back and trying to get myself back into the mindset of what did I like about this. This one I like. This one not so much. We're getting rid of this one. This one here is better. I like this. I like the I like the way the light is more interesting here. Clouds are all kind of pointing to it, giving me some leading lines. I'm a fan of that. Let's keep that. Next. Again, all right. I promise we're gonna get some more interesting photos once we get to the nighttime stuff, and just actually, there's a couple photos coming out up on the drive that I'm curious to see how they came out, because there were a couple that I really liked. If they hopefully aren't too blurry. Again, shooting out the window of a car. This photo's doing nothing for me. How about this one? Those highlights and those whites down. Right, the sky's not overexposed. There's just nothing in it. Alright, I have to separate the clarity and the texture to do something with this one, but let's see. You know, I'm kind of liking that now. You know, we do a little thing, we crop this down a bit, make it a little more of a square. There's something there. Again, a lot of these photos, I'm saying again as if everyone watched yesterday's live stream, and if you did, thank you for sitting through 4 hours of that. But yeah, I'm like, some of these photos I'm selecting and I'm sort of playing with, and there's a decent chance, and like, if history serves, the majority of these aren't making it past this stage. I think my current estimate was out of the 5 sections of photos, the 5 places I went, 5 little albums that I've got. And out of the 1,629 photos that we're sorting through over this series, there's a decent chance that it's going to be like 300 in total that get edited, to the point of getting not edited in general, but edited to the point of being shared. We'll see if it even gets there. So, excuse me. But yeah, I want to make sure I have the things I see potential in are shots that I that I have the option available for when the editing moment comes. And when I do start editing, I want to be able to look at a bunch of sit down and confidently look at a bunch of photos that I know have some degree of potential. Let's see. I think I was in the. It's a little bit soft there. Again, I'm looking at ridge lines. This one actually might be. It's not too bad in color, honestly. It's got a getting the nice, like, the shadows hitting the rock and kind of making the contour stand out. A little bit of texture on that. Yeah, I'm gonna keep that. Hang on, we did a bunch of these. I gotta start ending my streams right before we start looking at, like, Fox photos or something, so that we're not starting just, hey guys, look at all these rocks. I'm gonna get down to the. Are these all? These are all portraits. All right, let's go ahead and not you. Let's go ahead and rotate all of these so I can just kind of click through them. Rotate left. All right, here we go. We left off back here. Let's see. I like this one less now that I know what's coming. Let's get rid of that. Let's look at this one. Trying to find that balance. Oh, why I'm taking photos that are out of focus. What on earth was that? That one looks better. Let's keep that one. I like this one. I just don't know if I like it as much. I'm going to keep it for now. This one, not so much. There we go. We got a couple out of there. Moving on. Okay, this feels a little more like we've got an actual subject, which is good. Color's not too bad either. Get the green to stand up against the background. Did I do more than one of these? No, I did one good one with a tree, and then I went back to taking photos of just rocks. Which, to be fair, Colorado. But I'm trying to think what I was seeing when I was taking these photos, because I'm trying to see where I was going with this. I do like that though. I like the shadows. I like the texture. Let's keep that. Let's see. For some reason that one's more interesting. I'm gonna keep both, but I like that one a little more. I don't know what I like about these. Now I'm sitting here going, that's the tree in the way. There's something kind of cool about that, just about this, like, this band of shadow going across. Kind of a fan of that. Again, I'm taking pictures of just mountains and shadows. And it's kind of cool to have the shadow of the mountains on something, but I'm not sure it's cool beyond just having it. Let's see, keep this. Lose this one. Alright, let's see. Alright, that's a little more interesting. Looking upstream at the. It's part of the fence. Yeah, we were up at the mouth of the river there, or the dam where the river is, but you can't go super far because that's where it starts being a government building. So I was shooting across the fence, just sort of enjoying this little pocket of trees back in there. That's the photo to do. That's the one to use. That one's got the right composition. This one not quite, and this one also not quite. Yeah, I like this one. This one with a little bit of. Let's see. Yeah, bring those highlights down to get a little bit of sky in there. Maybe a little touch of clarity. Work on that. Yeah, no, the black mountain in the foreground, the lighter mountain in the background, and then this pocket of trees. This one I think is going to have to be in color because I'm going to want to really make these trees stand out versus everything else. This is also one that's definitely going to benefit from like a good crop like that and make the trees seem like a little secret. But yeah, I think this one's got some potential. Government building. I'm keeping all of these because I'm gonna figure out what exactly I want to do with them. I like the image of a government sign. Stop, and this is an instance where the photo itself is Well, again, this is I'm now sitting here going like, all right, I'm gonna talk through my thought process on this and debate whether I'm I might edit one of these photos. I'll debate if I end up sharing them, because the symbolism of government fence blocking us from going to the mountains feels relevant, and feels like we're like nearing that with the latest round of non-citizens have to pay more to get into the national parks now, because that's bullshit. And you know the next step is raising prices on everybody so that so that nature becomes a thing for the rich. But yeah, there's so like something about that sticks with me, and I think would make for a very good picture, and very meaningful picture. On the flip side, this is a fence blocking us from going and messing with a dam, so like I get why it's there. All right, that's kind of a cool shot. Getting the mountains. I know I did a few of these. Let me see what these look like. That's cool. That one I'm more of a fan of. Even in color, the greenery and some of the colors of the mountains. We're warming up. We're getting there. I don't know if I need this one. Let's see. Alright, there's... Alright. Alright, 381 is where we start getting the night photos, and we're at 358. So we're 20 photos away. We'll get there. Let's see. I like that. I like the line that you sort of get coming down the middle. There's something that can be played with there. And again, there's me playing with it. Let's see. How many of these are this spot? Looks like 3. That one, that one, that one. I think it's the first one. I think the first one feels the most versatile and the most right for this. We're drinking tea out of a goblet today. Drinking very sweet tea out of a goblet. There we go. A tree up on a ridge. That's pretty cool. This one, I'm keeping this one as a vacation photo because I do like. It's making me happy. I don't know if I'm not sure what I'll do with it beyond that, but you never know. This rock formation again that I wasn't impressed, wasn't as enamored with going up, and I'm not going down. I'm not as enamored with it going up. By the way, this is still, if you're tuning in and you're new to where we're at, this is East Portal. This is down at the bottom of East Portal Road. We're starting to go back up it now, which is the one way to drive down into the Black Canyon of the Gunnison out in Colorado. It is the steepest road in Colorado. It is a 16-degree grade. So, yeah, you're in low gear. You're trying not to ride your brakes, and yeah, that's how Black Canyon, that's how East Portal Road works. This is more interesting to me in terms of just getting the shadow on something. In terms of having that shadow cutting across. Again, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna be masking the light and the dark separately so that I can individually control texture and shadow. But yeah, this one's more interesting. I think this one. Couldn't tell you why it's more interesting necessarily. It just feels more. I don't know. I like it. It's more obvious that it's a shadow, and that makes it to me more interesting. Let's see. Not so much there. That's not doing as much for me. Let's see, another ridge line, some trees up there. I don't know if that's doing anything for me. And this is the thing. We're going through photos. We are going to go through. We're going through the good and the bad, just alike. Color. There's something about that sort of zigzaggy pattern that I do kind of like. I'll keep that for now. And this is the thing. This is one of the reasons that a lot of photographers tend not to show this part of their process, because they like to go out there and be like, look, I came out, I set up my camera, and look at this beautiful photo that I took. And while that is a thing you can say, it does also it ignores the work of the creative process. It ignores all the decisions that get made. It ignores all this photo is kind of cool. Yeah, it ignores all the hemming and hawing over, do I see something here? Is this a good representation of me? Is this Like, does this photo accomplish what I wanted it to accomplish, or can it be something different or more than I was hoping, than I originally thought? Keeping this one, I like this one a lot. Like, that's the... it's like when you watch, like, a music biopic, like Bohemian Rhapsody or something, and you see them, like, you know, they go from, you know, sitting, like, they're you know, they're trying to come up with a song, and one of them sort of does the stomp stomp clap thing, that's, and then they immediately cut to them performing "We Will Rock You" in front of an audience. And it's like, that's, like, you know, that's cool for storytelling, but that's not how the creative process works. Like, you're not seeing the rough drafts, you're not seeing the mistakes, you're not seeing the fights and the arguments and the, like, the sleepless nights over, you know, what's the right word or moment to put here. And so, yeah, that's what I'm trying to share. Like, I'm trying to share that process, and those, like, sharing those failures is as important as sharing your successes. Oh, let's see. I like this. Yeah, I like this one. I think there's a lot I can do with this one. I think I did a couple of these where you got that parcel of white trees in there. It's actually in pretty decent focus. I was worried about that. I'm loving this one though. Let's see. Yeah, really liking that one. I'm liking this whole little collection, but let's see. Come on, Lightroom, get with the picture. There we go. Also, I'm amazed. My shutter speed was at 200. I was expecting this to be worse. That photo, look at, like, that looks gorgeous. Like, that's a photo that, like, to some degree is almost done. Well, the hazing, we'll turn the highlights up a good bit, and then we will. There we go. I'm editing photos. I said I wasn't gonna do it. We're gonna select the sky. This one will be quick. This will be a quick edit. I'm probably not gonna finish it. I'm just gonna kind of go with my first rough draft, because, like, in this moment I'm looking, going, I know what to do. All right, cool. Now we can bring the highlights back down on the sky so that our package of trees stands out really nicely. While still, yeah, like, the sky's still bright, but it's not the first thing. And that's one of the things I do when I'm trying to figure out, because, like, when I try to make when I'm debating a decision on an edit, whether it's a slider or a crop or whatever, I'm looking over to the thumbnail. I'm looking over my little forest picture here, and just being like, boom, what do my eyes go to first? And with edited like this, my eyes go straight to the trees. If I bring the whites up on the sky, I look over, my eyes, part of my vision goes to the sky first, because it's bright, because it's the brightest and biggest part, and I don't want that. I want the trees to be the focus. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna create a new mask with a luminance range. I'm gonna go for that. I'm gonna click that and try to get all the whites, and then we're just gonna bring everything else down. Gonna get that. We're gonna get rid of the super bright whites like that. Then we're gonna subtract with a linear gradient. So we're gonna subtract with a line, and we're gonna get rid of. Nope, flip that around. Okay, now you can do it like that. So we'll get rid of the sky. I'm doing this to try to pretty much just get the trees. Just get that little collection of trees. Then I'm subtracting with a brush, because this section here is easier to just brush off. Just like that. I also need to crop this and probably get rid of some of this stuff down at the bottom anyway, but we're starting with this. There we go. Cool, so now I can turn the highlights up on that and really make those trees pop in a way that they didn't before. Can also turn up the clarity on them specifically, which we'll do that. You know, let's just turn up the texture on them. Texture will brighten them up and will give us a little more detail. Let's see. Let's go into crop, because I haven't done that yet. We're going to crop this so that it's the center of the photo, just like that. I'm going to take a little bit out of the bottom, I think. No, I take it back. I like the height on this one. This is the problem I've been facing lately. Is I've been really drawn to really tall, skinny portraits, which makes it difficult to frame, because this is not a standard size, and yeah, we're working on that. But okay, so look at this. We got the trees lined up with this one kind of peak tree up at the top, which is cool. Let's do we're gonna take this mask. We're gonna do a duplicate and invert, so we get everything but that. We are going to subtract the sky from that mask, because I don't want that. I want everything around it. And now I'm gonna do something that seems kind of counterintuitive. I'm going to turn up the clarity and then dehaze a bit. And bring the shadows down. Just enough to give us a good amount of texture up here in the trees. If they didn't just look like pixels. There we go. Gives a good amount of texture up there in the trees, while also giving us, I think I want to rotate this just the tiniest bit. The tiniest bit apparently is 3 degrees. This portrait's getting skinnier. That way. I like that a little better. I like the trees being straight and the tree line at the top being a little more straight, and then you got, yeah, we're getting there. We're gonna pull this up. We're gonna move this over just a touch. I like that. I think that's pretty cool. It's like in color. This photo is gonna rock in color. We're gonna do this in color at some point. Let's see. Where's that mask of everything else? Let me quickly do something with that. This one here. Bring the blacks down just a touch. A little more darkness in there. A little more. Not quite that. A little bit there. Bring the highlights down, up. Let's see. Let's do this. Let's do a duplicate and invert, which is kind of a dumb move. Let's see. Okay. Let's go back. Let's invert this again. So we're basically just doing the same, getting the same mask for a second. Just let's see. Okay. I'm seeing we're going to. What's this linear gradient doing? Gonna convert that to subtract. So we're losing the top there. That's cool. And now I can bring the highlights down in there. Bring the shadows up a little bit. Not that much. Trying to get rid of these white pops down here, which now you can't see because we went green. While still keeping enough of the detail that doesn't look like the trees are just in a void. There's a balance there. Something close to that. We're not there yet. Something close to that. I'm going to give that 2 stars. Actually, that rating, that move worked. Okay, usually that gets weird. Nope, okay. Cool. Yeah, give that 2 stars. Coming back to it, I'm so happy this photo came out. I remember taking this photo and being just like, oh, I hope that one worked. That looks, I'm really happy with where that's at. We're gonna have a lot of fun with those. Let's see, what's this one look like? Nothing, not great. Don't love it. Moving on with our lives. Same here. This one's like, again, looking at the last one, not as good. Good, but not as good. Same thing here. Same there. Just not doing much for me. Okay, hey, we're back up. We're back topside. What else I wanted to say about this photo? Oh, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do a before and after comparison. So, yeah, that looks pretty cool. The other thing we're gonna have fun with is getting into the colors. Let's see what it looks like in color right now. Yeah, so in color right now it looks like that. I have to come down here to blue and take the blue saturation all the way out. Yeah, the sky still got some blue. I don't work on that. But I take the blue saturation all the way out. Is Aqua finally doing something? Aqua's kind of doing something. We're going to take Aqua and push it to green. Like that. Take green and push it toward yellow. Push the greens up like that so we get a nice We got the gold and the yellows and the greens up here, and then we have kind of the lighter versions of them down here, which is cool. Let's see. Purple doing anything in this photo? Doesn't look like it. Let's find out with luminance. Nah, no real purple. Magenta kicking around in there? Not even. It's pretty cool. Blues. This is another way that I can adjust the brightness of those trees without necessarily masking them. Is just using the blue slider down here because the trees are blue. Are coming in blue in this light because they're in shadow compared to everything else. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I'll push the oranges a little bit. Oh, no, that's hue. I want to, that's adjusting the hue. I want to play with the saturation and push that up a little bit. There we go. Push the yellows. It's going to be a bit much. Reds. Actually, reds look pretty good. Let's push the reds up and let's push yellow just a touch toward orange in color. No, take it back. I like the greens. I like it. Push it toward very green and get a weird photo, but like. That's got there's something to that. There's something I really like. Now we're gonna come back up to this one. I'm gonna push the saturation on that up and push it a little bit towards yellow and green. Nope, keep that where it was. Push toward purple and get something weirder. And because I adjusted the green slider down at the green hue slider to make it more yellow, when I turn the green up, I'm turning up yellow. Which looks cool, but yeah, I'm liking that. I think that's a pretty good start in terms of color. Let's go ahead and let's create a virtual copy. There we go. We got our virtual copy with all the same settings, and I'm going to go back to the original one. I'm going to put it back in black and white. I'm going to come down here and play with my color sliders now, because I can turn the blues up a bit. I can take the oranges and make them stand out a little. I push the yellows. Yeah, we're brightening now, because this is just brightening those individual just shades, even though we're in black and white. Now that we've done it, we did it in color, you saw kind of how each section of the photo was affected. So now I can adjust like this, and even though it's in black and white, those Lightroom still knows those colors are still hiding there, and it lets me adjust them. And let's try to take the aquas down. I'm not loving the white trees down there. I might have to do something about that, but that looks pretty good for a rough pass on this photo. All right, we left off here, and looks like we got a couple of these. Let's rotate that. Now let's look at this one here. Let me see this in color. Like, sure as a landscape. I'm not sure it's. What does this look like if I turn the clarity up and take the highlights down? This has always happened. I always end up doing this and then being like, oh no, I love this one. I actually do kind of like this one. This one's got those layers that I like, where you got the land, you can see it. You can see the landscape starting as grass and trees, turning into kind of, rocky plains and trees, turning into forest covered mountains, and then breaking off and getting the peak itself. And the fact that it's centered and you got the layers and you got the clouds. Yeah, I did it again. I'm keeping this one. I was about to get rid of it, but I'm keeping it. I'm going to go ahead and crop it, though, because we're going to crop out the little road signs there. Yeah, that also gives us... This is one of those moments where the leading lines, in my head, like, this is why leading lines should never be a hard and fast rule, is because the lines are, like, if you follow the lines, you're just going zigzag across the photo. But I think the lines, as they progress, as they sort of, like... In my head, the way this photo kind of works is, like, when you see, like, a curtain, like curtains opening to reveal something, or when you get, like, that line of people who all sort of one at a time jump out of the way, and then the person at the back is the, like, star. which I think they do a couple times in Hamilton on Broadway. Yeah, this feels kind of like that. It's kind of like all the layers are kind of stepping aside to showcase the mountain, which is cool. There we go, a little bit of that. This is almost 5x8, which is very cool. It's definitely a size that we like. Let's undo that one. I think I went a little further than I wanted to. Let's go like 1 click. There we go. I can make this bigger if need be. I don't know if I need to. Keep it. Nope. Let's go back to what we had a second ago because I want to keep that mountain centered. And again, this is one of those things where it's like, yeah, the center of the mountain, like the center of the mountain and the highest point of the mountain are not the same thing. So trying to find that center point where the mountain does look like it's centered. That looks pretty good, honestly. I'm happy with that as a starting point. Give it 2 stars. We'll come back to it. Again, same type of thing. I zoomed in again, trying to get that fence out of there. Add some more sky to it. If I dehaze and push some clarity. Still cool. This one. I'm gonna keep this one because this one's gonna feed my like tall, skinny portrait like thing I got going on right now. This one not so much. Something about these guys here, where you got this like everything here is sort of. That's part of the reason that I think it said that, like the leading lines that are sort of the ridges of this close one and this further one back here don't feel like they're sort of supporting as opposed to distracting, because it feels like they're sort of getting out of the way. They're sort of like, you know, you're looking here and you're and they're guiding your eye out that, you know, they're zipping out of the way, and then you're here and it goes that way, and then you land on the mountain, and the mountain just is there. The mountain's the one thing doesn't feel like it's quote unquote moving in this photo, because it's the one thing that doesn't get cut off. This one here, you see the edge of this. You see the edge of this one, which just to me is like, who put this giant hill in the way of my mountain photo? So we're getting rid of that. This is just darkness. This is me experimenting with. We came out, you know, again, I mentioned this last time. Black Canyon of the Gunnison is a dark sky site, which means, like, yeah, there's next to no light, and this is post moon set, so there's nothing. And so the first few photos I took were me testing out what settings do I need. If I really push the exposure, that's what I would be seeing. That is going to be just noisy as all hell. Though I really will say, I don't hate it. Yeah, the texture, turning the texture up is not helping. Turning the highlights up is also kind of not helping, but I don't. Okay, here we go. This is it. I did it again. I like this photo. 1 star, keep it. This doesn't get 1 star. This just gets kept. All right, so that last one was, what was I doing differently? All right, so this was ISO 200, which is why I could turn it up as much as I could, and still get noise. This is ISO 800, and you will kind of see that it's already brighter. And if I turn the exposure all the way up, it's gonna be, you're getting a brighter photo. But it also means, like, you've still got a ton of noise to it. Let's check this one. Let me do it quick. I'm just gonna sync these. Synchronize, check none, just the basics. Didn't do anything else. Sync. This one's gonna be too bright, so we're gonna turn the exposure back down. Just until it gets to something like that. There we go. And then I can adjust and keep playing with it from there. And there's this tree in the way. Alright. These are both getting marked as likes. Also, you can see the Milky Way in this one. You can see it there too, but it's duller. It's not the first thing my brain notices. This one, yeah, you got the Milky Way. And that's the other thing about these photos is this is me starting to prospect and say, okay, what can I see? What's this? Alright, this is 2 minutes. This is a 2-minute exposure at 400 ISO. I take the black and white off. You cannot tell the difference. Does not matter. Turn the exposure up. There we go. Black and white off. There we go. There's some color. There's some Milky Way. Nice. again, I like my test photos better because I like the angle. I like that better. This one feels a little bit too normal. I know where I'm going with this. So let's see. There we go. Turn this up. My ISO's back at 400. We're still a little bit noisy, but not noisy in a way that I worry about. Turn the clarity up. Extra texture maybe. Yeah, we'll figure that out. Yeah, turn the whites up. There you go. Now we're seeing sky and Milky Way. But this ridgeline isn't doing a whole lot for me. Again, I'm sitting here dismissing the Milky Way, because I know what's coming. Let's see. Same deal. This is me. It's the Milky Way over a ridge. I'm dismissing this because I know what's coming next. So I'm just gonna say no to that one, and I'm probably gonna say, all right, here we go. Now we're rotating. Now we're doing angles, which is good. And also, now we're shooting 400 ISO, 120 seconds, 3.5 f-stop, and I can get to this without having to touch the exposure. I can turn the highlights up, and we can see the Milky Way. Still noisy. That's okay. If I bring the shadows up, we're getting everything. But yeah, we can have a little bit more fun with this. Now that we're starting to, I actually kind of like that cloud down there. I think that cloud down there is kind of cool. So let's reset this one and keep this one as a good choice. Talked about this photo a little bit. Yeah, this is. I didn't even mask this. This is just what this looks like, which is great. I push anything up? No. This is literally just shadows and clarity. What does this look like originally? Look like that. I guess I must have pushed the white balance a little bit. But yeah, there's that photo, which we talked about a little bit yesterday because I was talking about like this dude's truck, and the fact that I got a picture of him is kind of wild. Anybody from New York know this dude? The car had New York plates. Anybody from New York recognize this guy? Let me know. It'd be kind of fun to find him. All right, so this photo, not doing a whole lot with. We're gonna rotate until the horizon feels straighter, something like that. I'm gonna push that up so we get as much of the Milky Way in as possible. This is kind of just a vacation photo. I'm kind of just keeping this because I like it, but I do like it. I think it's cool. I think it's a cool way to show the process, the night sky. Getting a little too much noise out there. A lot too much noise out there. We're gonna work on that if I end up using this photo. It's also pretty cool in black and white. In black and white, it's got. This is the thing. And I said this last time. It's a running theme in a photo. This is one of the reasons I dismissed a lot of the Milky Way photos that we just looked at. Is that you need the context. Having the context of the sky and the ridge and the cars and the bushes and the mountains, like, adds to the shot of the Milky Way. All right. This next collection. Okay, here's another fun thing. These three photos, this one, and this the last one, this one, and this one, are all the same angle, because my goal was to get a clean shot of the start of the Milky Way arch. Spoiler alert: what my plan is for these photos, and I'm not going to do this on stream because it will just, like, my computer will not be happy trying to do both these intensive things at the same time. My goal is to do a panorama, doing a vertical panorama where you see the entire Milky Way arch over the Black Canyon. And this was my attempt at taking a first photo that would get us the start of the arch, which we have, but also we got this dude in this car. The second one, this is the same angle. I'm keeping this one as well because I think it's funny. Same deal. Like, there's the car, there's the Milky Way, there's the ridgeline, and here is that dude's headlight as he goes down this little trail. Just because it's, again, long exposure. You move a light through it. Now you're light painting. That's what we got. Something about this I do kind of like. Like, it's not a photo I dislike. Oof, that's nuts. What is the in color? Perfect. Absolutely. We are in the Matrix. Everything is green noise. It's beautiful. Get rid of that nonsense. But yeah, let's see. Yep, also, if you're wondering, Like, if you're wondering what the Milky Way looks like with the naked eye, it looks a lot like that. Like, you can see it, you can tell it's there. You know, maybe depending on where you're at, depending on how dark it is, depending on how good your eyes are, you can see something. But yeah, no, the shots you've seen of the Milky Way where it's this like bright shining thing in the sky, that's all processing. That's all post. And I was actually, when we were out here with my brother, he actually asked me, he's like, is this what the Milky Way looks like normally? Is like, this isn't like, we're not in a bad spot. And it's like, yeah, there's different times a year where we are, you know, our position in terms of facing it, and our position just, you know, over the course of years, our position in relation to it changes. So there are times where it is more or less visible. But like, yeah, this is what it primarily looks like with the naked eye. And that's another reason that processing photos is important, because seeing it like this, yes, this is accurate to what it looks like. This is not necessarily accurate to what it feels like. And so I understand the urge and the desire to like process a photo and like really, you know, start doing stuff to like, you know, really make that. Let's come back to this. Yeah, start doing some stuff to like really make that sky pop, and really make the Milky Way just like, you know, show up like this, you know, interesting beacon in the sky. Like, I get it. I understand the inclination to do it. It is just like, and it does kind of help replicate the feeling of, but it is not what it accurately looks like. And so that again, not throwing shade one way or the other, but just saying, like, if there's any dishonesty in that, the dishonesty is in not sharing that it looks like this normally. This isn't photographers or magic. This isn't like, oh, we have our fancy cameras can like see it, you know, with more color and vibrance than it actually has. This is, we're editing photos to help you understand what it feels like to see this thing in person, instead of just showing you, yeah, the sky has a bit of a ripple. All right, so here's the first one that worked. We're gonna keep that. I'm gonna keep these all dark. I know what they look like. And this is just me slowly working my way around as I've got the camera set up. I got the tripod set up, and I'm just take a photo, check it. If I'm happy with it, rotate the camera a little bit, take another photo, check it. So there's a lot of overlap. I want to be able to give Lightroom the best possible option for best possible options, like as much overlap as I can, so it knows how to layer the photos. You can actually see these a lot. I don't know if you can see these better on stream. I know like my calibrated monitor is a little darker than my secondary one. So I'm looking over at the stream window and going, oh yeah, you can really see that. I'm looking here going, that's pretty dark. But like, you know, it doesn't take much to bring it back, and this will be cool once I get the whole thing together. Let's see. I did have a moment here where I had to sort of take a photo a couple of times. So we're gonna have some fun with that. Stop adjusting and start moving to the next photo. Because I was trying to. The hard thing to do with a panorama is to make sure that you get the. Because it's like, it's so easy, especially when you're doing a handheld panorama. It is so easy to like, as you adjust, your hands move, or you tilt, or you shift a little bit. And same thing on a tripod. You sort of have to like, you know, because of the way we look at a landscape, you know, you've got this cone that is your vision, and as you rotate, if the landscape and you are on an angle to each other, as you rotate, that horizon can shift a little bit, and so you need to sort of compensate for that, or take enough photos that you can compensate for that. So I was doing a couple of photos here where I would take one, and then let's see, this photo needs to be moved to there, as I'm trying to get this collection to sort of line up with each other. That's sideways, but here we go. This is better. There we go. That's the other end of the arch. There it is. Stop that. There we go. Did a couple of those just to be redundant. There we go. Cool. So now we got this, which is this is again, like I said yesterday. Take a photo and then immediately take a photo, immediately be happy with it, then immediately turn around and see what's behind you. Because usually when you're focused on the thing you want to take a photo of, it's easy to literally miss the forest of the trees. This one we talked about the Big Dipper shot from Great Sand Dunes yesterday. This one isn't quite the same. The Big Dipper is right here, so there's boom, boom. These four stars here are the. Can I zoom in a bit? There we go. So yeah, these 4 stars, 1, 2, 3, 4 are the basket, and then the handle goes out to there. This one's not quite as good as the Sand Dunes one, so probably, and also the Sand Dunes just make for a much better make for a much better, like, what's the word, like, you know, bottom foreground background. I guess it's foreground, but it feels like background. Set flag those. I liked those are all the Milky Way ones. This is me zooming in to try to get another shot of the Big Dipper. There it is. If I brighten this up, I get a whole bunch more stars. That's the difficulty with doing star photos where you're trying to get constellations, is you kind of end up having to sort of select the stars individually and make sure they're brighter than everything else. Because if I just turn the highlights or the shadows up, shadows is doing next to nothing. If I just turn the highlights up, all I'm doing, I'm adding brightness. I'm not, you know, the stars aren't not bright enough from each other to really catch it. All right, these are tests. I did a couple of test photos. This is me. One of the ways, and if you've seen Milky Way photos where you can see the landscape, whether it's, you know, it's a desert or it's a canyon or whatever. If you search for Arches National Park, like almost guarantee, I'm gonna see how long it takes me to find if I search Arches, see how long it takes me to find a photo at Arches where you've got the arch in the foreground and then the Milky Way behind it. Arches National Park, let's see. But the way to do that kind of photo is and this is one of those moments where you want to set up your camera, like set it up while it's still light out, right at the end of the day. The sun is set, you want that cool kind of blue post-sunset light. I'm impressed, actually. I'm impressed. Up there it is. Didn't take long to find a Milky Way shot. Who am I giving credit to on this one? This is Come on, somebody give me credit. Someone tell me who took this photo. There it is. All right, this is a National Geographic photo, so excellent. But like, yeah, like, ring light getting in the way. Yeah, Arches National Park there with the Milky Way behind it. And this one, they clearly have a person, like they've got a person standing in the arch, and they've got a light source separately in there. But typically, to take that kind of photo, what you would do is you have your camera set up in the right position. You would have, and if you're doing a panorama, you would do a panorama with that kind of blue evening hour light once the sun is set, so you get all the landscape. And then you would take another couple. You do the same thing, whether it's another panorama or just the same, whatever your composition is. You would take another photo from the same angle, with, kind of every 20-30 minutes as it gets darker and darker, and then up until the point that you've got the Milky Way, you've got the stars, whatever you want them to be, and you can adjust your settings to really highlight those. And then in processing, you would come into Lightroom or into Photoshop, and you would combine those. You'd layer them on top of each other, either mask them or use an HDR high dynamic range setting, so that you've got the foreground illuminated the way you wanted it, you've got the sky illuminated the way you wanted it from the last picture, and then you have the other photos that sort of bridge the gap and create the full landscape. And it's really cool to do that. But it's also, like, it does take a lot of time, and it is kind of an interesting hassle, an interesting challenge. I was experimenting with, like, I've got my camera flash. I was experimenting with, if I throw the flash on, can I illuminate a foreground? And you do see that Arches photo from National Geographic, like, there's a person standing in the arch, and they've clearly set up a light in there that's lighting the arch and silhouetting the person, so they've got the sky. there's a decent chance that photo was also taken that way, where you exposed it once to get the sky, to get the Milky Way and all that, and then you exposed it, again to get the person and the picture. Also, the Milky Way there being purple and being like the night sky being blue and the Milky Way being purple, again, looks gorgeous. Especially because, and I know why they did it, because you have that gorgeous, like the orange stone of Arches National Park, and you want the purple lighting, or the purple sky is a perfect complement to that. It makes for a gorgeous picture. Like, you definitely had to process that. You had to edit that. You had to get that to. You had to kind of pull out that color to, again, help you understand what it feels like to be there. All this preamble to say that this is a photo of a tree that I took playing with my flash. This is another one that I did that again. You're about to see why. Adjusting the flash, just sort of tweaking until I get a tweaking position, tweaking detail, so that I could take a photo like this. That is going to need some cropping, but like, if I put it in color, yeah, now you've got the red of my headlamp, you got the green, or the greenery overexposed from the flash, and then you have the Milky Way back there. And if I was to go ahead and sort of crop this photo a bit and make it more, do that. Actually, I think I need to crop it in here is the bigger issue. Yeah, something closer to that. I don't know if this is 4x5. Hey, that looks like garbage. Anyway, we'll work on it. Close. But yeah, something like that. Again, this one's gonna work well best in black and white. But yeah, that's how you would do. You can do artificial light source to light up the foreground, should you choose to do that. And it's cool to be able to do this in a single picture. Keep that 1 star, coming back to it. And then yeah, here's another one. This is just one more Milky Way shot. Turn up the highlights, can turn up some shadows here. That's wild, just to turn up the shadows and just get that darkness, because there's no information there. That's interesting. Correct the highlights, yeah, we can have some fun with that. Okay, go back to resetting this photo. I'm keeping it, but we'll come back to it. All right. Next, welcome to day 2. Day 2 of Black Canyon. We're at 309. We gotta get to 374. Here we go. I gotta get past 374. We're doing this for 2 hours, y'all. We got another hour of streaming. But okay, now we are heading out from Black Canyon, from the south rim of Black Canyon. We are now going to the north rim. So we're heading toward what's called Exclamation Point. Here's the painted wall again, because you start kind of on the north rim. You start kind of up there. That's the painted wall. We talked about that yesterday. We got the black stone that is very close to something very akin to granite. That makes up a good chunk of the canyon, and then you've got this sort of quartz. It's not actual. It's a quartz relative, or type of quartz rock that runs through it and gives it those beautiful streaks. And then you have this little, like, flat top haircut of trees on top. This photo might do something for me if I was to do this. Even then, not doing a whole lot for me. I'm gonna keep it as a. Let me click through the next few of these before I make a decision on which ones of these I'm keeping, because what was I attempting to accomplish with these? I'm not entirely sure. All right, this one's my favorite of them. Actually, hang on a sec. Let's unflag that. I think I can also hit U, which removes the flag. I'm gonna take these two and this one, and we're going to set them as rejected, because I got the one I like, but I'm also it's a vacation photo that I like, as opposed to being a good like photo piece. This one is better. This one could use a tiny bit of rotation, like that. I don't need that. And like, you see what, like, I hope it makes sense easily why this photo is talking to me more than this one is. This one has a lot of layers, but feels a little jumbled. Feels like, I'm not sure what this is doing here. The wall's kind of like allegedly the subject, but doesn't really feel like it. The sky is there, but it's not really engaged. Versus this one, where the wall becomes more of a subject, but the subject is very much, again, the progression as we go through. which is the thing that I like. So we're going to keep that. Of course, I did a few of them. Trying to balance that wall. That's a problem with the painted wall. It's a really, really pretty feature. Yeah, it's a very, very gorgeous feature. It's also, like, you got to find the exact right viewpoint to really, really see it in its element. I like this one. I think I like this one the most. This one or this one? You know what? I like this one the least. There you go. You know, like I said, I take a bunch of photos. It's always gonna be. It's almost never the first one. Let's see. I know I took several of this moment here, trying to like having some fun with the canyon and with some foreground and background stuff. Let's see. Oh man, I just stayed here for a bit. This is the thing about going out and taking photos, is that you're allowed to let your eyes sort of wander. You're allowed to sort of try to find what catches your eye. You're absolutely allowed and it's expected to make mistakes. That's part of the fun. I see some potential in this one. I see less in that one. Yeah, going with a shallower depth of field here and brightening it up a little bit does help separate the pine tree from the cliffs behind it, but this is not as interesting as I was hoping it would be. Some degree, I could kind of tell when I was shooting that I was like, this isn't going to be what I want it to be. Nah, because those cliffs behind it are kind of just, this is a photo of pine needles, sort of with, I guess, a rock thing in the background. Not really saying anything important there yet. We'll get there. I liked this. I liked this sort of bowl that was created there. I think this. Let me see if I can do it. Let me auto rotate this. What's it gonna do? Yeah, couldn't figure it out. Okay. Let's rotate that so we get the canyon is centered. Let's come up here so we get. There we go. Something a little more like that. We're gonna keep a little bit of this brush down here because it's a good layer. Gonna come in a little more. Can I do it 1:1? There we go. Actually, I can do this at 4:5. No, not that way. Vertical. There we go. We can get that done. We can pull this. I'm able to pull this down a little more. You're not letting me because there we go. That's what I wanted to do. A little more of that. Come over. Touch less sky. There we go. Something more like that. That looks more like the photo I was hoping it to be. It's not bad in color. You're still the feature is definitely the rocks there. You got the sun on them, which is nice. And yeah, we can have some fun with some texture. And we can have some fun. Honestly, texture might be the wrong way to go with this. Clarity up, texture down, dehaze a bit. Yeah, there's something special. Gives it that, like, it does look like it's holding a little bowl of light, and that's pretty cool. 2 stars. Keep it. We're coming back. And now looking at that one, I like this one less. This one feels. I don't dislike this. I'm keeping this as a vacation photo, but I don't dislike. Doesn't have what I thought the first one did. This is a rock that I thought looked like it was in the shape of the heart. If I take off black and white, it comes out reddish. If I turn the. Nope, vibrance is wrong. What I'm going to end up doing is selecting that and brightening it on its own so that it gets a little more color to it, but yeah. Yeah, I thought a rock in the shape of a heart was a cool thing to get a picture of. Also potentially in the shape of a steak if you want to, orient it a different way. It's a little more feels like it's also the shape of like the cartoon steak emoji, which is equally valid, very important. This is the other thing, and I want to talk about the photos you take that are going to come to something. We start at coming in on day 2, 309, all the way up to I guess 321, because 322 here. That's this guy. This is the first photo. This already had needed a little bit of tweaking. But this is the first photo of this set that I'm like, yeah, I like this. I think this is cool. I think this is a photo that like has some potential to. To me, it feels like it's capturing close to what it felt like to be there, and it's still got some work to do. But I've still got some work to do with it. Let me put it that way. It's get a job photo. But yeah, I think this is like it took me, like 322. It took me like 10 or 11 photos before I found one that I was like, yeah, this I think I'm kind of connecting with this. And now I'm looking at this photo, which is again this is a hike to exclamation point. It's almost 2 miles out and 2 miles back, so it's not a hard hike, but it's you're going over distance. So there is distance between these photos versus some of the ones we started with today that were like we're driving and I'm taking photos as we go. So it's like they're all real quick. There's distance between these, and so I've got time to percolate and sort of let my eye wake up and adjust to here's what the goal for the day is. Yeah, I liked this tree. I think this tree had some cool potential. Just because it stood out, it makes for a good subject and kind of introduces you a little bit to the landscape there. Just did a couple versions of it. Come back to that. That's the next set. Let's look at these three and see what I like. Is this one? The wider one I'm keeping as a vacation photo because it's a good. I like the transition from rock to trees, like in color. And if let me dehaze this a bit. Not that. A little more saturation, maybe. We'll see. I don't know if I love it in color. I like it. I like the ecologist in me likes the rock to tree transition. The photographer just also likes it, but it's a little more partial to one of these two. I think to this one, but also I can crop this one to that. I'm gonna keep both. If this is one of those moments of like I'm coming back. If I'm gonna come back to it and I'm not sure exactly what I want to do with it, I want to be able to. I want to have all the options available. All right, here we go. Now we're talking canyon. Black Canyon of the Gunnison. There it is. This isn't even at exclamation point yet. There's the river down there. And this is all side canyon. Where we're eventually getting is over here, where we'll be able to look right down the canyon following the river. You saw a couple photos like that yesterday. I think exclamation point is the best view of that, but we'll get there. So this is several photos of this with me playing with my lens and trying to figure out the exact the right amount of sky versus landscape. So that's the tree again. This one we're going wider. I like this one personally. I like it's got everything feels like it's centering you down, and the kind of like the wider the shot is, it feels like a bigger, it's bigger action lines as it kind of pulls us in. This one not so much. That photo's not doing as much for me. This photo feels like it's more about this rock than about the canyon. Though I do like the kind of yin yang thing that's going on here with the light and dark. I'm keeping this for the wrong reasons, but I'm keeping it. Like that one. That one's okay. I don't like it as much. I like the wider shot. We're adjusting as we go. There we go. Yeah, I like the wider shot there. We'll see how that comes out. Here's another one. This is actually probably better than the other two because this is a vacation shot. Now I'm keeping it because I like it, but not because I think it's a good shot, a better photo. I think this is a better photo. This gives you a better sense of the scope of the canyon. Yeah, I like it. Oh, we're trying again. Did I switch to a wider lens? I think I might have switched to a wider lens. Let's see. Now this feels like a wide lens. What's this? No, that's 10 millimeters. That's about as wide as my lens gets. I guess I'm tilting up a little more. I like this more. Having the sky there, I think, makes a difference. I'm going to keep that. All right, this one or this one. That one's straighter. This one's a little bit. I got the clouds there, though. Going to adjust this a bit. If I tell it to autocorrect, is it going to be able to find the horizon? No, that's not how that works. Try again. No, I'm not letting you try again. I'm going to correct this myself. Something like that. Too far. About there. That feels closer to right. Yeah, I like that. I like that there's. I like that the sky up there has clouds in it. Can bring the highlights down on them. Can really get some good detail in there. Push the dehaze a bit and get a little more texture and stuff going on. Yeah, there's something to that. I like how that's coming out. That's a good photo. Keep that. This one, not quite there. Again, photos in the field are rough drafts. All right, that one's not as good anymore. This one is better. I like it. I think it's more interesting as a thumbnail. This again, I'm doing the black. I'm trying to do the yin yang thing again, and I'm apparently succeeding. Yeah. Again, this is like talking about context. A little bit of context, a little darker, a little bit having a little bit more sky and a little bit of clouds in there is making a difference in the way I see this photo. It makes it. And yeah, it's entirely possible that if I'm going to lean into this half dark, half light thing, that I'm going to crop it to that and make the center of the photo, make the focus that. And again, if you looking at the thumbnail up here, yeah, with the sky in the shot, the first thing I kind of notice is out here, out kind of like the far canyon. If I take the sky out of the shot, yeah, it drives my eye right down to here, to this little rock here, and then kind of there. Like if I'm looking over here, and it really does emphasize the black and white of it. I really like both of those versions. I'm gonna keep this. I'm gonna give it a star to make sure I come back to it. And let's see. I'm also gonna go ahead and no, I don't want to crop this because if I'm gonna keep the sky, I need to adjust my horizon. I'm a little tilted. If I'm not, I don't need to because looking down into the canyon like that is cool. Oh look, I did it again. This is gonna be fun. More sky, less sky. I'm keeping this one too. I like them both. I'm gonna give them both ones again. I know I want to do something with this image. Or with this shot in concept. I want to have options when I come back to it. All right, different spot in the canyon slightly. I think this is just a little further down. That I'm just looking at a different direction. Hard to tell sometimes. Cool. Whatever that noise was. Oh, new subscriber, Zachary. Thank you. Glad to have you here. Okay, let's talk about these two photos. Actually, let's go through and make sure I'm not going to talk about two photos that happened and then have to walk that back because the third photo is better. All right, this is something different. I'm going to come back to that. It's these three. 1, 2, and 3. All right, so this one feels a little bit like it's too much about the sky. I'm going to get rid of that right off. This one feels, and I've talked a bit about having those photos that's like, hey, look, here's a tree in the foreground, and then here's all these trees stretching to the horizon, and it kind of, the one close to you kind of gives you your entry point into the farther section. This is that with this rock, to me. This rock down here, this piece of this rock, and I can do some, as I edit, I can do some work to make this guy stand out a little more as a guide. Just draw it. It's got some lines that are kind of pointing us over here, which is cool. And then B, it does kind of serve as like, oh, that's our foreground rock. That rock is our buddy, and then this is all made from rock, and it's cool. Zachary, no, black and white is not set for me. I'm keeping these all in black and white because I took them in black and white. That's my that helps me play with my composition. But when I start actually editing the photos, yeah, I'm gonna be going back and forth on black and white. A lot of the time when I'm editing a photo, I will end up doing a black and white and a color version, just because it's different. It draws your eye to different things. I think I like this one in black and white. I like the composition right now, but once I start editing, I might find a color version that that really connects with me. I've also, just a thing that I've noticed. I'm gonna take a look at this next photo as well because it's. Yeah, I think I like the brighter one. I like this one better. I don't need as much sky as I'm getting in this one. I don't know. No, because here's the thing. Anything I want to do with anything, if I wanted to make if I want this photo, I can make this one look like it, and that'll make me happy. So I'm gonna keep that. I'm gonna get rid of this. But the other reason that I do we're looking at these in black and white is because when I take a photo in color, like whether it works in black and white is kind of a maybe. When I take a photo in black and white, if it's gonna work in color, if it would work in color at all, it will work in color. Otherwise, so let's see. Yeah, I don't know what to do with this one. I think this one's gonna be a vacation photo. Let's do a side by side. There you go. There's a side by side. I like this one personally for the texture and the rock. I don't know if it's something I would do a whole lot with beyond just sort of keeping and enjoying it, but yeah, I'm gonna keep it as a vacation photo. Gonna keep rotating these. Zachary, that was a good idea doing the side by side. All right, there we go. Now we're hitting exclamation point. We'll come back to that. Okay, I've got two of these that are effectively the same thing, just one slightly further out. I like the first one better, so we'll get rid of the second one. All right, Black Canyon of the Gunnison, and this is exclamation point. This is we got like 30 more photos. Most of them are here. Where now you can see the color in. You see the color and the black and white version. This is the thing. I forget who said this, but like when you and I don't agree with this in total. This is coming from I heard this from a photographer who only takes photos in black and white. I don't remember who it was. The name is escaping me. I can picture his face. But he made a comment about like in color you look at a photo, in black and white you look into the photo, and I don't know that I completely agree with that, but I do like this photo in black and white because I think it's in color. I'm getting distracted by the color, whereas here my eye is drawn right to the dark section of the canyon, which kind of guides my eye down to the river and keeps me focused on the canyon itself, and I really like that. Let's see. You want to deal with the vibrance up? We can do that. Yeah, it pulls it. No, I'm not like I think the colors are beautiful. To me right now the black and white is to me the feeling that I got from this, and stick around on future streams because there are going to be some of these photos that I'm absolutely editing in color. When we get to Maroon Bells, like there's some gorgeous color there. And maybe just because in my head I'm editing I'm looking at the photos from Black Canyon of the Gunnison, so in my head I want these photos to be not bleak, but like austere and dark and have kind of that harshness to them. But yeah, no, having the color pop there is it is definitely like I definitely see the appeal of it. It's not connecting with me at the moment, and it doesn't at this very moment doesn't feel true to my feelings about being at Black Canyon. Likely to change as we go through this, as we kind of get some because right now the color the color isn't adding much to this. If I push the color up on this, like it's gonna all this is gonna get is gonna turn, gonna give it that kind of orangey, that dark orange kind of look. The greens are gonna pop a little bit. You're gonna get this stuff down here is gonna get kind of an overall greenish yellow haze to it, and this is all gonna be blue, and that'll be cool, but it won't convey it the way I'm seeing it right now. I don't know if I like one of these better or worse. And Zachary, I see what you're saying about general population, and here, believe me, like I like I'm trying to think how to say, where to go with this. You're catching me like going through photos entirely in black and white, so it seems like and so first of all, if you check out a lot of the rest of my work, there are times I'm pushing color way too much. So this is an exercise for me. But the other reason is I have found the idea of trying to cater to the general. I'm still staring at this photo. I'm liking it, so I'm going to keep it. I have found that trying to cater to the general population is to the concept of the general population. Let me put it that way, because the general saying the general population. I think any time that people make try to make a single entity out of a group of people who are not unified in taste or in ideology or in goal, and then try to serve that group's needs, it tends to you're trying to build a house on sand. Let's see. Yeah, you're trying to build a house on sand that doesn't, like, and so I have found personally that the thing that works for me is I will make photos of, if like, based on how it connects with me, and trust that that my eye, the people will see the beauty in like the way I see it, and that I'm explaining this badly, but the beauty that I see in a photograph, whether it's in black and white or in color or whatever, I'm trusting my eye will help people see the same things in it that I see, and that's what a lot of what I'm doing during these streams is sitting here and trying to see like which of these photos connect me with the feelings that I felt when I was there, and those are kind of the photos that are going to be, these are the ones I'm going to work on. And sometimes, like, I was just going back and looking at some of my Shenandoah photos, where I've got pictures that, of like a sunrise, and the mountains are this gorgeous purple. The sun is this is yellow. The sky behind it is this brilliant orange. And like I looked at that photo in black and white and immediately was like, nope, that doesn't work. No, this is a photo about the color. This is a photo about the shape, and to me that works better in black and white. Ooh, there we go. Now this is okay. I've started moving closer to the edge and I'm looking down. And Zachary, in the case of, does it work in the case of, is it what works for me or what works for us? Like, again, that's like, if your personal taste is color, I am happy to supply that, and I have tons of photos that will scratch that itch. And there's like I said, there's a very good chance a decent chunk of these photos get a color version that really stands out. Right now, the black and white is what's calling to me, but trying to cater to an audience that I don't know, who's, as a group, the general population's tastes are varied and fickle, and it is, I have found, and I forget whose quote this is, but it's a thing that I always come back to, and that I've found to be very true for me, that it's better to write for yourself or create for yourself and have no public than create for the public and have no self. So that's kind of my guiding principle with this. And when I try to make photos that I think that don't feel true to me, but I'm like, yeah, but I think people will like that, it tends to not work as well. I'm not as invested. It doesn't feel like creating art. It feels like, churning out content, and that's where art starts to fall apart. But I hear you. The green falling off the side of the cliff is really cool. There are a couple photos coming up that I really was enjoying that, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Yesterday on stream, I talked a lot about enjoying Black Canyon, where you have just the trees and then just immediate just cut to cliff, as if someone just, edited out the ground for a second. There's a couple spots coming up that really, really connect with it. And Zachary, if you're an artist, like, please drop a link to your work in the chat or in the comments. Like, I'd love to see some of what your work and some of how you how you share your share your worldview with the rest of us. That would be very cool. So please, no, don't apologize. Please, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're challenging me, and I want you to share. Okay, are any of these photos worth it now that I've got this one? Because I really like this one. We're gonna save this. I'm gonna give that a star, and of course I'm gonna look at the next photo and be like, oh, it's a better version of it. I don't know that it is actually. I'm gonna keep it. There's something to it, but I don't know if I'm gonna keep that. And this is this tends to happen. Okay. This one I think I like better in color. Like, I don't know, the darkness of the sky back there, and that's a storm if you're wondering. That's a crazy thing about getting out into into landscapes like Colorado, like Arizona, where and I guess out on the into the Midwest with the plains, where you've got just such a distance that you can see. You can see. This kind of bit where it looks like the clouds are sort of dropping down and touching the landscape. Yeah, that's rain. You can see where it's raining and where it's not. Zachary, this is Black Canyon of the Gunnison, out in Colorado. Let's see. I like this. I do like this one. I don't think. Let's see. I don't know if I like it. I think I like it better than the last one. I think I still really like this one. I think this one so far is the best. In my head, the best. Exploration of the idea that I'm starting with. But I do really like this one as well. I like this in color, so I'm gonna keep this one in color. Let's see. And of course, I need to stop I need to stop talking about the photos till I'm sure I'm done with whatever section I'm on. There we go. Okay, that's the end of that section. Let's go back a bit. So is this one? You vibrate about. We'll get back to you. Yes, Zachary. All the photos on this stream are photos that I took. All of this is part of my catalog as a photographer. Let's see. There's a fun difference with just the clouds moving, where you can see in this photo you can see down to the bottom of the canyon, kind of on the left hand side here, and then nope, go forward, not back. Jump forward to the next one, and you see kind of the cloud has moved and is now casting a shadow, which I think I like less. I think I like better that, and I like this one. The horizon's a little straighter, and you can see the sky, and you can see that storm out there, which is a thing that that's one of those moments where I'm like, I have yet to capture, I think, a storm, whether from close or far. Zachary, please do not shut up. Ask questions. I'm all about engagement. You are more than welcome to talk and ask and share your thoughts. Yeah, I think I've yet to capture a storm, whether from close or far, that really encapsulates the feeling of being in a storm, and I'm still itching for that moment. Hey, look at that. We're getting tilted. Okay, let's look at this one. This one, I think this one's a vacation shot. I like this as just seeing the landscape. Yeah, I kind of do. I see what you're saying. I like that. Yeah, I like this. I'm seeing the landscape. I'm keeping that one. All right, this one. Hey, look, we're doing tilted shots, and I know I didn't rotate it that way. Go through these and see if I find a. All right, now we've switched to something new. All right, this is exclamation point. This is where I start. This is anytime. This is a rule I should really set for myself. Anytime that I'm getting photos from high up on a viewpoint, usually the first one, as I keep going, I get close. I'm more comfortable getting closer and closer to the edge, and when that happens, it's like the photos tend to get better and better. Let's see. Rotate this. Okay, that's what this photo is about. Now I realize it. Nope, I'm not realizing it that way. This photo is seeing the river starting at the corner down here, working its way up and through the canyon. All right, let's see. Which of these two best captures that? What are we doing? Why are we rotating that photo? No one asked for that. Especially for a photo I'm getting rid of. This one. Let's rotate this. No, this one's not as much. That one's better. I like the river kind of coming in the corner. Yeah, I don't know, Zachary. I'm also, I know there's a delay on stream, so I'm assuming because I've been sitting on this photo. This is the one. This is the one you're calling a little sus. Yeah, I don't know. I like a good tilted shot when it conveys the right feeling. This one I don't know if it does. This one's a little weird to me. I'm gonna keep it though. I trust myself that I might find meaning in it later. This one's a little better. This one's again same idea. The river kind of working its way down through the canyon. This one, in color, if I can make that river pop a little more, that might be better. I do kind of like this, though. Let's see. I do a couple of these. I did a couple of these, because I always do a couple of these. How many of these did I do? That's the real question. This looks like it's different. That's definitely different. Ooh, look at that. The light coming through and hitting that one section of rock. Also, yeah, the clouds have just totally moved at this point. The left side of this canyon used to be lit. All right, let's look at these three we got right here. That one, that one, and that one. Oh, wait, hang on. This is... Zachary, of course, be honest. This is a sorry mom photo. This is a photo that I took just to get my foot in it to show how close I was to the edge. Keeping that for amusing personal reasons. Let's see. I like the first one. The horizon needs some work. I need to tilt that, but I like that. I feel like I'm kind of peeking around a corner a little bit less in the first one than the second. I'm not sure why. Some of that just connects with me. Let's see. Looking at that. Yeah, I like that. That immediately draws my eye. Hey, we get out. We see in nature what we want to see out of it. That's, and I'm not throwing shade. I think that's hilarious. All right, let's see. Where did we leave off? Zachary, I'm gonna be laughing about that comment like all night. Thank you. Genuinely not making fun of you. I love this. I love it so much. Okay, let's see. Nope, we already said yes to that one. Haven't made any decisions on these three. Let's make decisions. We're almost done with the Black Canyon photos, and then we will start dipping into the I think Kepler Pass is next. That'll be fun. Hey, nature contains multitudes. All right, I like this one. Coming a little closer. I like it. I like it. I still like it. I'm going to keep it for now, but I do like this one having the context of the sky, and the sky being that, the clouds having that kind of, that gorgeous slash to it. I really like. This might be too much context. This feels like it's too much context. This feels like we're valuing the sky to the detriment of the of the interesting lighting and the canyon and the river, which yeah. So we're gonna skip that. What's this one? This one did I do it again? I went even more, didn't I? Not as much. I just adjusted my settings. What did I change? Brought my f-stop down a little bit so I could get a brighter shot. For some reason, that works better. I'm gonna keep that one. That one actually, I took so many photos of this one spot. Why? What am I? I mean, it is absolutely gorgeous. What was I trying to tweak? What was I trying to find? Because there's always something. Still not. This is still not. Okay, now I'm zooming in at least and really just focusing on that shape. Did not realize my Black Canyon photos were this, but then again, Black Canyon. There's the Gunnison River. It's pretty cool. This is again. I'm trying to find a way to share what it felt like in the moment, because in the moment, I couldn't tear my eyes away from this. This compared to this one. Okay, that's just me adjusting my horizon. All right, that's better. If I'm keeping one of these, I'm gonna keep the second one because the second one's a slightly flatter horizon. This one I pushed in a little bit. You're getting a little more of the river down there. Getting a little more detail in that, which I think is cool. Let's see. I'm going to do it again, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm going to push in a little more. Nope, we're going back too far. The clouds aren't really adding much to this one. Let's go ahead and say no to this one. Let's take this. Where now we've got enough sky to see clouds. We see the mountains up there, which is nice, and you still get to see that gorgeous drop off. But yeah, I think I like that. Zachary, the end game to my photos is, if I was gonna do this, I was gonna crop it a little bit. Let me make this call, and then I'll answer that question. Let's see. I like that one better than the one before it, so we'll start with that. We'll go to this. And then I don't like that one as much. I like being able to see the bottom of the river down there. Yeah, I like being able to see where it goes and see that little pool down there. And this one also will work really good in color or in some kind of, maybe even like a Sin City-esque hybrid. But there is something nice about that first one, that first of that group where you just have that. I do like that one. So the end goal for my pictures is to get more people excited about the beauty and the like just all the amazing intricacies of our world. That's what I like. I am always at my closest to spirituality and to connecting and to feeling like I'm part of something big and amazing when I'm out in nature. Whether it's watching animals interact with each other, whether it's seeing a full ecosystem or a huge chunk of an ecosystem in a single picture, whether it's just marveling at the amazing things that exist in this world, from the waterfalls, the mountains, the northern lights, the Milky Way, like, which I guess not in this world, in this universe. So the end goal for my pictures is to share just the amazing relationships that exist in nature between us and the rest of nature, and also between just the way nature works. That's kind of the end goal for my pictures, to get people really psyched up about seeing the world in a really cool new way. And to that, I stream and talk about my process and talk about my photos, and I share them this way. I sell them online. I've had them published in magazines, calendars, that kind of thing. So yeah, that's kind of my goal, is just the end goal for my pictures is to share what makes this world awesome. That's the simplest version of it, and to create a relationship between us and this world, or these parts of the world that I'm sharing. Here's one of these pictures. Let me see. I think I've had a couple of these. Yeah. Okay. Looking at these. This isn't where I think I got one more like little set of photos from exclamation point. But like, this was the thing. Well, hang on, Zachary. Zach, before you go, take a look at, like, this is one of the photos I was talking about, where you see the trees up top, and then you see the green sort of spilling down into the canyon. And you got this, like, because you get this side of the wall is sloped a little bit, and you've got these little depressions, trees are kind of able to grow all the way down. And this is a photo that definitely will be in color, and I really like for that reason, because you do get to see that green kind of coming through. And if I brighten let me put this in color first, and then bring up the shadows. Yeah, this photo is going to be very cool when in color. So like, this is, you said you liked the green kind of spilling down. This, I also really liked it, and this is the spot for me that I feel like I really caught it best. Ooh, I say best. Second picture's better. Second picture's almost always better. Second picture's better unless it's wildlife. Because sometimes there isn't a second picture with wildlife. Going darker, not sure why, because I was trying to see the clouds in the sky, but I'm losing. Though I'm not clipping out. That might actually work. I love the composition. You know what? I like the composition. I like the little smile down there. We're gonna keep that one as well. I like that one less. But Zachary, thank you so much for joining and for chatting and for giving me your thoughts, because you've got me thinking about this in an exciting way, and that makes me really happy. So, here we go. There's another one where I went brighter. And yeah, okay, so I finished off exclamation point with these photos. Last one's better than the one second to last. All right, cool. Those are the Black Canyon photos. Now that we've gone through all 374, let's go ahead and see how many of them. 158 we're getting rid of. So back to the library here. Went from 375 to 370. 370. Yeah, it says 375 now because I made a copy of one of them. Down to 217. All right, working our way through the collection. 217. 158 photos gone. All right. Next up is Kebler Pass, and I'm going to spend the next 20 minutes just starting to kind of get a sense of Kebler Pass. Let's see. We've got 348 in this one, which is, yeah, we can take solace. The Black Canyon was the biggest, was the most we had. So now Kebler Pass is interesting. Kebler Pass is a pass through the mountains. Obviously, it's not the only way to get. This is going from kind of the Montrose Montrose Black Canyon South Rim area over to the small ski town of Crested Butte, which is nice and isolated. And actually, the way we did this, we went to Crested Butte for a night. So we drove through Kebler Pass on the first day and just looked and kind of saw, okay, this is what it's going to be. This is a spot. This is a spot. This is a spot. And now coming back, we're going back through it the day after, leaving Crested Butte, heading toward Aspen, where it was like, all right, this is where today's the day we're gonna stop. And it took us 2 hours to get through it on day one and like 5 hours to get through it on day two because we kept stopping for photos. I like this one. It's a good start. Normally I'm like, again, landscape. I'm usually kind of, I'm very choosy about when I allow man-made things into a landscape shot. In this case, like I said, the story of a lot of my photography is the relationships we have with nature, whether it's an individual person and a photo and the subject of the photo, or it's just the way humanity and nature interact. And I hate separating the two because it really does feel like the idea that humanity is somehow separate from the blanket term of nature is part of what gets us into the situation we're in right now, with people thinking that nature doesn't matter to us, or we can do whatever we want to nature and humanity will still be fine because we're a separate entity, and it's not true. But I'm always careful about that kind of relationship. I like this. This feels like it's our pathway into the mountains. I'm curious what the sky's doing. Do I have anything interesting in the sky going on in the sky? Ooh, look at the blue of that mountain. This one's gonna look good in color. This is gonna be a good color photo. If I take the highlights down, yeah, there's a little bit going on in that sky. I dehaze it a lot. There can be a lot going on in that sky if I really push it. If I want to make this photo like kind of vibrant and aspirational, or sort of austere and Ansel Adams inspirational. This photo. Yep, this photo is getting 1 star. We're coming back. I'm gonna explore this photo a good bit. Next, again, doing the same sort of thing. I think the vertical one's more propulsive, but I like this too, so we're gonna keep it. I like this less. This feels like it's focusing on the road more than focusing on the mountain. This is what I'm keeping as a vacation shot. It's cool in black and white. I think it's better because you just kind of see the road feels like it's standing out a little more. But this is Kebler Pass is unpaved, so we're about to go off of it. Boom, we're about to hit the pass, and there you go. That's the transition point. I like that for my own personal reasons. Seas of trees, endless conifers, absolutely beautiful. Keeping that, gonna have some fun with it. There's gonna be a lot of those. Strap in. Not this one though. This one feels a little bit. Honestly, looking at this photo, I'm getting the aliens from Toy Story energy. I'm getting a big ooh. Look at all of us here gathered. I'm gonna come back to that. Weirdly, not getting the same feeling from this one. Can't tell you why. What are the clouds doing? Wow, actually take it back. There's some wow. Okay, yeah, 2 stars. We're coming back to that. That's really pretty. Love it. What's the next photo? Ooh, I'm doing it again. Same deal. Dehaze this. Give me a sense of what's going on there. All right, we have 3 of these, looks like. Yeah, looks like we have 3 of these. So this one feels like it's... No, this one's something else. Dehaze, let me see if there's anything... Yeah, that one's not striking me. These two. This one. This one. They're both good. The wider one's striking me more. I'm going to keep the... No, I'm going to get rid of this. If I want to crop the wide one in, I can do that, but I'm going to keep the wider one. The wider one, yeah, it's got more scope. It feels more like it's a journey. I'm in love with that photo and didn't expect to be, which is great. One of these photos I was going for. I know I see myself getting into an element here in a little bit because there's a tree that I kind of decided was my subject. This one's not doing a whole lot for me. There it is. Okay, this tree, and these photos are going to be in color for sure because this tree with the pine cones up at the top is really going to connect with me. Interesting thing about a lot of the trees out here is that they grow the pine cones very like in mass at the top of the tree. And there's some throughout, but like there's a lot of these trees have just like a cap that's almost just totally cones. And the reason for that is these forests are so vast, and they're already, very much fighting they're very much in competition with each other, that growing a tree, like dropping the way like, when we see pine cones around over here on the East Coast or in places that aren't as densely forested, the pine cones, there's more natural things that'll move them around. There's more space where they can grow. In this case, the natural things that are going to move the pine cones around are birds, and so it makes sense to have the pine cones kind of concentrated more at the top than at the bottom. Yeah, these photos are going to be in color for sure because that's an interesting slight difference there. What am I missing in this photo? You know what? That actually looks pretty cool. Pushed like that. It gives it a nice gradient. All right, we'll keep that one. What's this one up to? I'm gonna come back to the other ones in a second. Same deal. Let's dehaze this and see what we got going on. Looking at the thumbnail, I like this. It's simple. It's simple, but I think it's there's a thing I've seen. I remember hearing a cinematographer talk about how guy talked about how when he started his career, he would he'd be putting 1 star like this one. I like it. I think there's something to it. I'm gonna keep the rating at 0 though. Let's see. This one actually 2 stars on. This one I dehazed it. I'm gonna put 2 stars just so I know that I've already done some touch-ups on it. But the cinematographer was talking about at the beginning of his career, he would, he'd light a set he'd put 100 lights on a set to try to light a scene, and then by the time he got to the end of his career, he's like I could do it with 10, but he was like I didn't want to die until I could light a whole set with 1 light, and because it's not about. I mean, and it depends on the set, depends on the project, depends where you need the lighting, but like, it's not about, lighting, like, it's not about adding more, it's not about adding more and more lights. It's about finding the light that conveys all the information that needs to be conveyed in that shot. It's about finding, all the emotion, all the story, everything that you can convey, being conveyed in the simplest possible terms. And this photo kind of feels like that because it's very simple, but it's conveying a mood. It's conveying a dark sort of complexity to it that I really like. Doesn't always, and that's another thing that when you want to take good photos, you don't always have to. You're not good is such a generic term. When you want to take powerful photos and photos that connect with people, you don't always need mountains. You don't always need trees. Sometimes you need the right moment with something simple. And I cannot, for the life of me, choose. I like this one. I think this one's got some good potential. I like that one less for some reason. That's one of those, like, I took 2 steps over and the shot became better. Not so much. I like this one. I'm just gonna keep staring at these. That one. Really not sure about the second one here. I'm gonna keep it. One of these is gonna really speak to me at some point soon. All right, let's click to here. Go to the next photos. All right, now we definitely gonna have some sky going on. I was really hoping we were gonna have some sky going on. We do not appear to have sky. Did I bring the exposure down? We have no sky going on. I took this photo because I liked the, because I was enjoying the, like, the trees against the white sky. Not really speaking to me at this point. This one's better. This one has, I also like that gap in the trees there. Same thing. Just slowly increasing. I'm going to use that gap in the trees as my subject. I don't know that any of these really connect with me in a way that I want them to. It's not this one. Might be this one. It's not that one. Might be this one. It's that one, or it's this one. We're gonna keep both of those. Not this one. It's not this one. All right, and we're gonna finish off with this little photos of a stream by a river. All right, stream by a river. Wow, what on earth am I saying? Stream through the forest. That's when I know it's time for me to sign off. I'm just gonna rotate all these to get them to the right orientation. And we're going to start here on the next stream. I'm going to do my 4-star marker there so I know to come back to it. And yeah, we'll come back and we'll start here and we'll work our way through the 348 photos that hang out that are in Kebler Pass. And yeah, I got to keep coming up with different silly names for these streams. So coming back to just me here. Thank you so much for joining, for engaging, for watching, for letting me be background noise and be part of your evening. I really love getting to share this with you. I love getting to talk about the process. I love getting to just revisit this and try to, you know, have these vulnerable moments of trying to, like, search my memories and my soul for what made these photos, what made me want to take these photos and what it felt like to be in these places, and then try to see how, you know, find those things that help me share that feeling with you. So thank you for joining. Thank you for being part of this. Please go out there, keep creating art, keep connecting with people, connecting with the world. All of this stuff is out here. All of this stuff matters, and all of it is under our, for better or worse, under our protection. So keep going, get out there, make stuff. Be well, be kind, and as always, don't stop. See you next time.